Well, welcome everyone. This is our introductory episode, if you will, for the Maroon Veteran Alliance at the University of Chicago. My name is Robert. I was a 5.5 year Army vet out of Fort Bragg, and I am joined by the lovely Bre. Bre, if you want to introduce yourself.
Hi, everybody. I'm Bre, 8-year Air Force veteran, first year at U Chicago, and co-host here with Rob. And we are very excited to be starting this podcast to share with you guys.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting venture. In the age of podcasts, we definitely think this podcast has a story to be told, especially with all the individuals we are aiming to get onto the show. The goal of this podcast, just give a quick background, is we are really looking into the stories of each individual veteran on campus, not just relegated to undergraduates, but faculty, other members of the university that are interested in veterans. So that is kind of the focus of this podcast. So let's get into some questions. Bre, if you got any on
Absolutely, Rob. So this is one of my favorite questions to ask military veterans, or when I was in my peers. So why did you join the military?
I find that's one of the hardest questions to answer sometimes, because there's always got to be a why for it, but I will try my best. So I'll give you some pretext. So after high school, I really didn't have much planned out as far as college. I really was riding on football, and I didn't have the scholarship or the scholarship amount to get into the school I wanted to play football. I kind of fell on my face, and I was just kind of finding my way through life. And I was a manager at McDonald's, and I was doing like community college at a local school where I'm from in Illinois.
Yeah.
And after that, I was actually just sitting in class one day, and I just looked around and I just said, what am I doing here? I just did not feel like the outcome of my life was not what I wanted at that moment. I feel like the impact I was having within that class just wasn't great enough for myself. And I really wanted to make a difference, not only in the world around me, but in my own personal life. And funny enough, like the week after that moment, I went to the recruiter's office, and then 2 months after that, I was gone to basic training.
Wow, that was a really quick turnaround for you.
Yeah, definitely. And it was actually a surprise to my mom and my dad, because my house wasn't a military oriented family outside of my dad. My dad was in Vietnam, but the military was not a big part of our family in any way.
Yeah.
And when I broke the news to them, my mom, obviously, she started to cry and was sad, because, she always told me she thought she made it out of the military realm with her kids, because everyone got through high school and, got on with their lives without joining, except for me. And I was on the last leg. Like, I was right there, but I did it, and fantastic opportunity it gave me. And, when I look at the military, it kind of was like a reset for my life. Like, it kind of reset the playing field, and I was able to do the things that I wanted. So, yeah.
I really agree with that, Rob. And I think your story is very similar to, a lot of people. But I always find it interesting exactly what brings people in. And I think a lot of us have that sort of moment, like you were talking about in community college, just sitting there like, what am I doing with my life? I wasn't able to pursue extreme that I really wanted to. And this isn't going anywhere that I want it to. So I need some drastic change.
Yeah, 100%. And, everyone has their reasons, like going through the military, at least, the Army, we can talk about the Air Force in a bit, but at least going through the Army, everyone had a reason from, A to Z of why they joined the military, whether, family, whether for school, healthcare, they need steady income, for country, things like that. And it's, like I said, everyone has a different story for coming in, as you said, and that can be applied to college as well. Everyone has a different story for coming to college. And I think that's kind of the importance of this, podcast we're trying to accomplish, is talking about these things, trying to bridge that gap. And I think this conversation needs to be had, frankly.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Just there are more similarities there than differences.
Yeah, exactly. So now, since I got that question, what made you join?
Well, Rob, very similar to your story. I graduated high school and was all set to go to a great engineering school. But in the summer before college, I kind of panicked at the cost and at the direction that my life would have to go. And I wasn't sure, like, do I even want to be an engineer of any sort? It seemed like all too much. So I withdrew, and for my 19th birthday, I walked into the Air Force recruiter's office and signed myself up. And I was shipped off to boot camp like 6 months later.
Yeah, I always.
But
Oh, sorry, I'm gonna cut you off. Go ahead.
I was just going to say that the experience was very beneficial, and I needed to do a lot of the growing up that I did in the military before I came to school. So I'm really thankful for the experience, even though it wasn't necessarily pleasant the whole time.
Right. No, definitely. And I always find it, surprising. You said you're 19 and I was same age basically when I first joined. And, you know, going into college, you're almost trying to, that's like a defining moment for everyone is, what you're going to do for the rest of your life. And,
Yes.
I find the military is a good way to explore that without not necessarily committing to something long-term, because obviously the military has a long-term commitment, but it's a different feeling from the traditional college route. And it's interesting that you said you had to, you felt you needed to mature or grow up before you got to college. And, I feel the same exact way because I will say college is definitely different, especially coming to the University of Chicago. It's, I do not think it's for everyone. And I do think there needs to be a level of maturity. And as you said, the military is fantastic for that.
Yeah, it really was.
Yeah. So you talked about the military. What exactly did you do in the military?
Yeah, I was an intelligence analyst. So I worked with the drones, as you hear in the news, and I helped the pilots fly them essentially in a safe manner and to do their mission. That's primarily what I did.
Well, that's actually close. Well, not minus the drones. I was an intel analyst also for the Army. And although I did not work in drones, I did get to do some pretty, obviously with that realm of intelligence, certain things. But yeah, so how were your experiences with that? Like, can you talk about just your personal experiences? Like why you liked that job, some of the dislikes, I guess.
Yeah, I can tell you why I chose that job, and it was based solely off a recommendation. So I didn't mention this in my like why I joined the military spiel, but my family, both my parents served, and I just have a lot of veterans within my extended family as well, and they all suggested to go join the Air Force for sure, because the rest of the branches are not worth the pain. And then they also suggested that I try intelligence. So I could use my brain and all that, and
Right.
they were selfishly thinking like, yeah, so you don't get shot, basically, right? Parents are always worried about that.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm sorry. I'm envious of your guidance you had before joining the military because I did not. I went on I joined on a whim. And yeah, actually before I wasn't even supposed to be an intelligence guy. I was gonna be like a radio operator.
oh
Um
gosh, that's totally different.
yeah, but luckily, so the funny thing is my recruiter messed up my initial, application, if you will, of
Oh
he
wow.
messed it up. He did not put, my proper like allergies. So my reservation for that job got canceled. And then I fell into this job, which, you know, thank you to whoever who was watching after me because that job was a lot better than the one I would have gotten. We'll say that.
Absolutely, absolutely. Um, But I mean, in intelligence as a whole, I enjoyed. It is analytical. It taught me a lot of skills that I otherwise was really lacking in, like speaking in front of people, um, having the confidence to get up there and tell people like what you really think, um, as well as gosh, what else did I learn? That was the biggest bulk of it, besides just like the analysis of data, and just they teach you a lot of critical thinking skills,
Right.
which I found very useful. And what was your experience with that, Rob?
Yeah. So, going into the intelligence field, I didn't know much about it other than, it was romanticized in, Hollywood movies or, TV
Yeah, you're
shows.
gonna be James Bond. That's what they
Yeah.
tell
It's
you.
always that. It's like, whoa, I'm gonna be intel. I'm gonna do all this
Yeah.
crazy stuff. But
Just for everyone listening, that is not how it is. We are not like James Bond whatsoever.
yeah, no, is not if there's a video camera watching what we do, you would fall asleep in a minute and not want to
Yeah.
do it ever. But but my experience was actually, so my unit that I was with in North Carolina at Fort Bragg, it was 3rd Special Forces Group. So I actually got to do some pretty incredible things with um, the other people there. And if people aren't aware, Special Forces Group, so that is like Green Beret units, and you can look them up online. I mean, obviously they have a long, long history in the military and incredible things. But I've got to do some pretty incredible things with, that unit as far as intelligence. And like you said, some of the most important skills that I've learned is not only speaking in front of people, but how to carry yourself in front of, other political entities or, higher ups. And
Absolutely, that's a huge part of it. Just having the confidence to give an assessment, to give a briefing to someone, because you have to sort of instill that credibility in yourself, even though you may not feel it 100%.
right, exactly. And it's like it's a big scary world out there, especially when you get into the upper echelons of the government, and it can be challenging for a young person joining the military to be in that realm. But you're exactly right when you say it. You need a certain level of confidence, and when you're giving assessments or what you think, how you look at the problem and your answer to it, you definitely need to have some confidence. And again, things that are really looked at as far as like job applications, the ability to critically think and to act on your feet, to work in a team or as a single entity, like those things are
Yeah.
just like every day you use those skills in the military. And I think it's just I don't want to say undervalued, because I think that's the wrong term, but it could be valued more, or it could be looked on a little bit in a higher regards as far as the military. Because, some people in the military or outside the military might have this stereotype of how things are, but if you want to gain valuable qualities in your person, the military is a great place to do it, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I learned a lot from it, and certainly it's not for everybody. It happened to be a great path for myself and Rob, but it
Yeah, I mean,
was
so
it was beneficial for me for sure.
yeah, so if we keep trucking along, I have a question, because we talk about why'd you join the Army, or not the Army, my bad, that's me. I joined the Army, everyone. She joined the Air Force, so there it is. But why'd you join the Air Force? And the same could be said after, like, what made you have that big decision of transitioning out of the Air Force and then coming to the University of Chicago? Because that, I mean, as much as joining the military is a big step, that is also a very big step for people that are not familiar with it.
Yeah, definitely. And it's a huge transition in your life to go from having such a regimented day and career path to just sort of the unknown that is the civilian world, or at least that's what they tell you when you're getting out. But my path to ultimately U Chicago was a little bit long and winding, but to sort of shorten it a little bit for the sake of time, I got out because I was sick of the military telling me where I had to live, and what jobs I had to do. So I missed that freedom, and I missed being home with my family back in Denver, where I'm from. So that's why I got out. And then I thought I could pursue defense contracting as a job for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And I did that, but I got super burnt out because I was essentially deployed for 12 months with that. And that is a long time to be working 12 to 14 hours every day in a very high stress environment. So then when I got back from that, started working and going to community college, and I was looking, I have this wonderful GI Bill. And I have this freedom in my life right now. I can go live wherever I want.
Right.
And I should take advantage of this and go live somewhere else, go experience something else. And I started looking at colleges that I had initially looked over when I was in high school, just thinking like they're so far out of my reach. But I found the University of Chicago to be like, well, it was like my dream, really, because it's such an intellectually rigorous school, as I have been experiencing these last 2 quarters. And I just love their philosophy of learning, of discourse, of just diverse perspectives. That really drew me to Chicago. What about you, Rob? What brought you here ultimately to the University of Chicago?
Well, so it's actually, I wonder if there's like a pattern to this, but mine, it's very similar to yours actually. Like, so, being at my duty station, I deployed 3 times, and, in between deployment, it's not like you're at home, with your feet kicked up, just chilling. It's when you get back from deployment, you have like you go on leave for 2 weeks, and you might have like a month to, kind of take care of yourself back, like administration stuff. But after that, you're right back into the training cycle to get ready for the next deployment next year. And that really started to take its toll on me and my wife. And like you said, being gone for most of the time and wanting to have, move on to the next portion of our life, starting a family. It was just, we didn't think that was the most ideal situation for us at the time. And it just got really hard to constantly be away from her, because there was 1 year, I think for the total of 1 year, I maybe saw my wife for a total of 3 months. And, when you're married to someone, that's very tough. And
that is.
It's not very conducive to like a healthy relationship. So
no.
So that was a main factor for me. And I actually was going to get out sooner than I did. However, my wife wanted to get her master's degree. So I said, okay. I'll do 1 more year, 1 more deployment while you get your master's, kind of to help with that financial gap, I guess. Cause And so transitioning out, I found this organization called Posse. I won't get into too much of them because, but basically they got me in touch with the University of Chicago. And funny story. So I applied to NC State University in North Carolina.
Yeah.
And if I would have gotten into there, I would not have come to the University of Chicago because we had a home in North Carolina. And
oh, wow.
But luckily I didn't get in and I landed here. So don't tell Bo, by the way. And
so wait. You did not get into a state school?
Yeah.
But you got into the University of Chicago?
Yeah. And I applied and they sent me a rejection letter on Thanksgiving. And I was kind of like, wow, if I can't get an NC State, there's no way. But I got into the University of Chicago and doing great, and no.
Yeah. So that's honestly unbelievable.
I was like so close to being, petty to the NC State and being like, thank you so much for not accepting me. Like you did me a favor basically, but my wife was like, no,
right.
No,
my life is so much better because you rejected me.
Yeah. So yeah, and then, I'm from Illinois, and I've always heard the tales of University of Chicago. I've only the brightest kids from my high school got in, and I was
Yeah.
like nowhere near that. So I was like, that's not it. I didn't even think about it just because I knew it was like out of my grasp. But actually, like coming back and going through this process of getting out, I mean, you realize that, I mean, you can really honestly do, your life can change so much in 5 years and 8 years for you, and it
Hmm.
opens so many doors. And university does fit a lot of things that I was looking for. Is obviously close to home for me and my wife, because we have
Hmm.
family here. And then secondly, the discourse, free speech, it being like really academically driven and like intellectual hotspot. And I love the rigor of the classes here, because in the military you put your body through a lot of that rigor and you use your mind,
Yeah.
but your body does take a toll from all the things that you do. And
Hmm.
it's kind of a nice break to do that and focus on my mind right now. And it has been fantastic. I mean, late nights still, but it's worth it in my book.
Yeah, it's absolutely worth it because like all this time that you're putting into yourself now is gonna pay off for you personally, not for like your unit or
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like the work you're putting in is going to have a direct correlation to what happens to you, not really what happens to someone else. So yeah, that's spot on.
Yeah. So I guess as we sort of wrap up here, would you mind telling us a little bit about what drew you to the Maroon Veterans Alliance as an organization?
Yeah, so I got this email from our president that we're gonna interview next week. His name's Ian, and he just said, hey, if you're interested, come to a meeting, check it out. And I was like, all right, okay, yeah, I'm looking to join another RSO, so I checked it out, and
Yeah.
I looked on their website, and it just, like I said in the beginning, it's a very important conversation that we need to have, because I do think there is a gap between active duty military veterans and then the I don't want to say civilian population, because that just sounds weird, but that's what it
Yeah,
is.
that's
Okay, in the
reinforcing
military,
the
it's
the
called
gap,
civilian. Yeah,
right?
but so they were trying to bridge the gap between the undergraduate veteran population and the undergraduates, throughout the school. And I thought that was one that's pretty cool, because I mean, you could have a ton of conversations in that realm, because I mean, not
Yeah.
only do the veterans have crazy, unique stories, other students have amazing stories just as well. And, people have, their stereotypes or whatever about military folk. And I think it's important just to have this conversation of like, hey, we all can think, we all can speak for ourselves. We all have similar, ideas or different, but that's okay. We can still find this common ground of just talking and being human. And
Hmm.
I do think that's honestly super important for me. And that's kind of what drew me to MVA, is this, this need or this want that they're identifying. And I jumped at it. So
Yeah, that's awesome. And honestly, that's pretty similar to what drew me to the organization as a whole as well. Um, because there is just in general that there always feels like that this divide, this separation between veterans and between people who have served in the military and people who have not,
right.
right? Because of all those stereotypes and a lot of the media that's come out, after 9/11, like sort of glorifying all of the wars and the movies over there and stuff. So it paints like a very specific picture of what a military veteran should look
Yeah.
like. We're all, very, if you listen to the movies, we're all very just traumatized and we've killed people and but that's not everyone's experience.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
I feel like it's important to address that and make sure that we are not seen as like super intimidating and not just seen as like some stereotype, because like at the end of the day, like I'm just an undergraduate student with everyone else, um
Yeah.
and like I wanted to come to this school because of all the different perspectives and the diverse student body that they have here. So I don't want to be sort of not pigeonholed, but maybe like sort of barricaded away behind the wall of the veteran stereotype.
Yeah, no, I do agree with that as well, you know, and like you said, I mean, not everyone's killed. Just because you're in the military doesn't mean you've killed someone, and just because you're in the
Yeah,
military doesn't mean you're deployed. And you know, some people get out early, some people stay in long time. There's young, there's old. And I also want to stress, even though the RSO is Maroon Veteran Alliance, it's not just veterans. There are people not associated with the military or a veteran in the club, and we welcome everyone. We are actively, I mean, if you want to join, please come to a meeting. We have them every Thursday. I'm sure, you know, when this video goes up, there'll be a link, you know, describing some of this stuff with the website as well. You can check us out there. Yeah, so we want everyone. That's the whole point of this, is we want everyone from the community to be part of this, not just veterans, because I think that kind of defeats the purpose of the whole idea behind this.
yeah, exactly. The whole point is we want to be incorporated into the community and to sort of like share our stories, and but also hear your guys' stories and just have that sort of conversation, if you will.
Right. Well, I think with that last exclamation point on that point, I think this will call it for the first episode. So all these episodes, our goal is to have them out by Friday night, you know, sometime before the weekend. So you can check us out on our Facebook, Twitter, on the Maroon Veteran website that we have. That, like I said, it'll be in the description, or you'll be able to find it once the video goes up.
Yes.
We'll be interviewing a plethora of people, not just people within the club, but faculty that are also veterans or associated with the military, and also undergraduates who are not associated. Yeah. So I just want to, you know, thank you, Bre. You know, we kind of jumped on this, and it was an awesome conversation we had. Yeah. So
Yeah, definitely. I'm excited to be a part of it. So we'll talk to you guys next week.
Yeah. See you guys next week.